Hello everybody, it's me Iryna Wood and my show What Everybody Wants to Know, and today the topic is what does it mean to be bisexual? Looks like everybody knows, but we don't. Hi Waldemar.
Hello,
How are you? I'm
great.
so happy to meet you. Oh
well,
my God.
I'm finally here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So, you're my guest for bisexual topic. Tell me please about your nature. How did you understand that you're attracted to men and to women, to both genders?
It's a great, you just said the topic, right? What does it mean to be bisexual? I think for all of us, it means something different. I believe truly that we're all bisexual. And for me, I grew up with a sense of I'm gonna be a man, I'm gonna have a woman, I'm gonna have a kids, and that was my, early 20s. And I've been in love with a beautiful woman that I actually made a decision to move to New York City.
Oh, really? What was the age?
So I was in my early 20s. I was coming back and forth between Europe and United States for like summer jobs to make extra money, to pay for my school back in Europe. And I loved it. It was a great adventure. And I remember the trip, my last trip before I went back to do my master's degree back in Europe. I met a beautiful woman that I fell in love with. We had let's say 48 hours in New York City. And I fell in love with her. And when I went back to Europe, I couldn't find myself. I couldn't find my place.
Profession-wise?
Profession-wise as well. And I started thinking what to do. And after my father's surgery, he had a heart surgery, thing went well. And I understood that that was my kind of way to find my path. That I can leave my family. I don't have to be there to help them. I can really truly be myself and explore life and go back, explore the new love that
So you love to save the people, and do you believe that is possible?
I do. Yeah.
I was trying to do that for 7 years to try to save the life of my father. It didn't work out. So whom did you try to save in your life?
My father is an alcoholic. So I had to grow up really fast in my life, which was tough.
Yep.
And me and my family, I have a beautiful mother and I have beautiful 2 siblings. We're all very close. I have a twin brother as well. We had a big test in our life. My father had to have a surgery. It was a very tough moment for all of us. And I'm the youngest one, my twin is 5 minutes older than me, so it makes me still a baby in a family. But I was always the one that, my parents put a lot of pressure on me.
Also, you understood the life very early.
Yes, I had to. So there was a time in our lives when my father had to go and have a surgery, and he drew himself to the hospital. He didn't tell anyone. He just left a letter.
So you had a fear of loss?
Yes, a huge fear of loss. Yes.
How is it easy for you to go into a relationship when you understand that it can end up, that you can lose the person?
Right now, with my experience, and I'm still in my early 30s, I understand, and I'm still working on it, that, we all are born alone and we all die alone.
Yeah.
Life is very short, and we do have to be present in every single moment to really enjoy life. Of course, I think we're all afraid of losing someone, and it scares us. But I think this is a beautiful thing as well, to kind of like remind us that we do have to be really present and be with the person as much as we can, the person that we love, to create a beautiful memories.
I asking you about that because I was saving my father for 7 years, and I tell you, I wasn't interested in the relationship at all, because that was my man, that was my pride, that was my main mission. So when you almost lost your father and you separated with a girl, as far as I understood, how long did it take for you to find love of your life? Because now I know that you are in a relationship, but you are in a relationship with a man.
Yes, that's correct. So I've been hurt by women before, and I felt like I was scared to jump into another relationship with a woman. And it's very interesting because I never thought of myself that I could be with a man.
Okay.
I guess in my early 20s.
Did you judge it? Because
Uh,
I judged age difference, and my husband is much older than me, 25 years apart. So did you judge that when you seen gay couple?
To be honest with you, I lived in France for a while, and I believe
Me
you know,
too. It opens you up.
definitely. I mean, there's something about French culture
Yeah.
that really impacted me in a very young age. You know, I was doing okay at school, and I had this opportunity to do like a student exchange program, and I went to France. I studied. I finished my bachelor's back in France, bachelor's degree, and there was a moment that I will never forget. I was by myself. I was in Paris for the weekend. I was with friends, but I had an evening by myself, and I walked by actually a gay bar,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw beautiful two men kissing, and I watched them. You know, not in a creepy way. I just, you know, I will never forget that moment.
What did you feel?
I felt there was no judgment or anything like that. It was my first time that I saw two men kissing, and I was so happy for them, and I was like, I was wishing myself that I will have that love.
Unity.
Yes, kind of like the connection with someone, because it wasn't like a just simple kiss. It was just like, you know, they've been really having a moment. Like, you know, when you watch the Hollywood movies or,
Yeah.
you know, those little things. And I always been very artistic. And, you know, when I see people and when I have some memories, I literally can, you know, play music in my head. I see all of it. And it's beautiful. And that was the moment when I felt like, wow, you know.
It was your perfect picture of happy relationship.
Yes.
Dear viewers, I created for you the ultimate self-love and relationship intelligence app with a beautiful name, Gemini Near Me, with a revolutionary AI avatar feature, your personal counselor that you can have it just here in your pocket 24/7 and ask any kind of questions about self-love routine and relationships. On the top of that, Gemini Near Me offers you other self-discovery techniques like astrology, numerology, affirmations, meditation, dream interpretation, and many others. Just download it now and enjoy your self-love journey.
And what was the age gap? How much time did it take from you from relationship with a woman to go for a relationship with a man?
It took me a couple of years, actually. It wasn't, that was back in France. I was still very young, you know, and I finished my school back in France. I still went back to Poland to work a little bit and, you know, be close to my family, because it felt like I have to be close to my family. I always felt like my twin is going to be the one who's going to leave home.
Yes.
And I'm going to be the one who's going to...
Your brother is more connected to parents.
Definitely.
Okay.
And I had an opportunity to move, and you
took it
to just explore life. You know, I work as a journalist in a very young age as well. I travel a lot. I met a lot of amazing, beautiful people that inspired me to really, you know, do things and taste things. And like, you know, I had this appetite for life that I never know if I was stupid, naive, or I was just super brave.
You're a dreamer, but they make the world happen.
That's true. You know, I will never forget. I was 2 years ago. I was invited to make a graduation speech for the kids at school, and I felt, you know, it was still my 20s. I was like, you know, wow, like, you know, making graduation speech is a big, you know,
honor.
It's an honor, but also it's like I felt like it's a responsibility, because
Absolutely.
some of those kids, they will catch the words, you know, and you have to inspire them, and you have to give them like a hope for, you know, like everything's possible, you know.
So do you see yourself still being a dad, being in a relationship with a man? Could you adopt a kid?
You know, I do.
Or maybe hire a woman?
I will never forget, I was invited to a nice dinner with friends, and I remember like an aha moment where I had at the dinner where there was two beautiful men, very successful professionally, visually very beautiful, very smart, and they, you know, they made an announcement during a dinner that they're gonna adopt a kid.
That's beautiful.
It was in New York City, and they were adopting kids from France actually as well. And that was aha moment, like, hey, this is possible. Like, being in your 30s, having a business, being successful, having a partner that supports you, and you supporting someone, you're together strong, and you can still build a family. You can have a surrogate, you can adopt kids. There's a lot of different options for two men build a family.
So I have to ask you a question. You have two men, two strong personalities. You're running few businesses, like about 5 businesses together. You have 4 crazy loving dogs, and you barely have time for each other, but you're still together mentally, emotionally, sexually, in all possible senses. Maybe one day you're gonna guys have a kid. God bless you. But who has to propose in this couple? Because this is interesting. In a classic couple, it's clear enough. Man has to stand on the knee, tell me I'm love of your life, let's do all the rest of the life together, let's share it. In your case, who has to make a move?
I mean, I think in each case is different, right? But in my relationship, I think it came very natural. We're engaged right now.
Beautiful.
So the next step is gonna be actually the wedding, the whole ceremony. I think it comes naturally. I feel like it's just like looking at each other's eyes and knowing, like, okay, this is the time. It will never be a perfect time to have a kid. It will never be a perfect time to start a new business. You just have to do it.
Life is just happening.
You just have to do it,
Would you invite your parents?
Absolutely.
Do they at all, they know your love story? They know you had women, older, younger, and finally you ended up with a man?
They do, of course they do. I mean, with my family, I'm very, I always felt like I'm gonna be the closest one to them. But I'm actually the opposite, I feel like we're very
separated.
Well, in a way, my parents I can judge them. I can, they gave me such a great life. I know that, as a father, what I want to do for my kids, and how important it is to be present. And I feel like my family, they've been, they both coming from, my parents, they both coming from very difficult backgrounds. And what they created, what I see what my father and my mom created together.
Because of love.
Because of love, and because of like not giving up, on each other, no matter what.
I think it's only eastern part of the world can do that, because women love challenges.
I was growing up and seeing my parents as fighters, fighters for each other, fighters
not against each other.
Not against each other. I mean, they of course they had ups and downs, and as a kid, it's hard to sometimes see some things, but I feel it's all necessary. Same in my relationship. It's not always colorful. It's not always being in a paradise, right? It's not. But those tough moments, they actually influence you, and those tough moments, those difficult challenges, sometimes they make you closer.
What about your brother? I know you have a twin brother, and you have 20 minutes apart, you told me?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, sorry. As an astrologer, I have astrological background. For those who follow me, they know very well, because I used to work in that field many years, and we all know about astrological potential. So, do you guys very similar? I know he is gay. If you're bisexual, he is a pure gay, or he's bisexual too?
I never asked him really. I mean, but I know...
You're not close enough?
We're very different, we're very different.
Being twins,
very different.
It's unbelievable.
Very opposite. I'm also blonde. I have curly hair. He has darker hair.
5 minutes matter.
5 minutes matter. Yes, definitely. We're very different. I mean, I was always very spiritual. I was very different, from my whole. Family members.
They're very down to earth.
I was always very connected. I always been, I kind of been always feeling more, and like kind of had always like, I could feel, things that were coming, or I could feel people very well. So with my twin, I can literally, I'm here right now with you in Palm Beach, and he's back in Warsaw, and I can literally sometimes feel what's happening with him. I don't have to talk to him. I know what he's going through. I'm very connected, although we don't have to talk every day. We do talk, but we have very different lifestyles, and he's more into always being in the relationships. For some reasons, he had few of them, and he attracts people that I necessarily wouldn't feel that they are good to him. But it's his, his choices.
You don't enter his life. You're not giving any advices. You're not taking responsibility.
I try not to. I tried for a long time. I wish, he could come here more often and visit me and be a part of what me and my partner are doing here. Because sometimes we actually need help, and it would be easy for him to jump on the plane and spend the weekend with us. But he likes his life that he lives.
His zone of comfort next to his parents. Probably yes, as
he's
well.
Very close. Yes.
Do you feel that you started kind of conquer the world, making all these businesses, running the marathon? You made almost 50 states, 20 you did, yes, and you still want to make it happen as well.
I've done over 100 marathons in general, and I've done also ultra races. But so it's over, over the 26
Are you running
miles.
away from something, or you're running for something?
That's something that I wrote a long time ago, that I used to run from something. That's why I end up being here in US. But I end up running forward something. And the 50-50 project,
That's how we met. Almost. It was the next step. One of the first deep conversations about 50-50.
Exactly. I mean, the 50-50 project, I still try to figure out what it is. I think like running, actually, if you want to talk about relationships, running is the toughest relationship I ever had. It's a love and hate relationship. I've been, what brought me to meditation is actually because I had a really difficult car accident. I was thought I will never be able to walk after a car crash. So imagine me spending, almost 2 months on the bed, laying and like not being able to, get out, get up and jump out of the bed. I understood in this moment the power of the mind, the strength that we all have. And I promised myself that I will run again.
But you don't run from relationships anymore.
I don't run from relationships. I'm a person that I always been dreaming, I was always watching the movies, and I was always picturing my life that I will have, a beautiful home, beautiful family, and I will make the time to be at home for dinner, to have the dinner together. It was always my dream. You see, my family, we never really had it. The only time that we had it was always on the Christmas time. That's why Christmas is very important to me, because that was the only time of the year where we would all sit together.
If you will speak now, when you got into spirituality, understand that family trials got you into spirituality because you started kind of think differently and see this world in a different way, and you try to heal yourself physically, and you help yourself with this different mindset. And you've been a yoga instructor, and when you met with your current partner, actually you had yoga studio, and now you're living in New York, and you're pretty down-to-earth personality. You're spiritual, but you can't probably introduce yourself to people this way, because you're more running businesses and you have marketing agents, you have these markets going on non-stop, and you don't really have time for your spiritual. When I met Waldy, he was like kind of meditating in slow regime. Do you miss that, Waldy, or you love your different part of yourself? Because you're kind of shining now and intriguing.
Thank you. That's a great makeup over here. I'm trying to balance, my life got a little bit busier. Me and my partner, I feel like we both very, very, very brave. We are open to learn a lot of different lessons. That's why we both are very, I feel like we both want to experience life to the full. What it means that, we both, I think we came to this country very young with big ambitions. The way we met was very beautiful. We met on the rooftop. I had my dog, he has his dog. It came very natural. It felt right. It felt like home. I wasn't in a great place to open myself for the relationship. I put a lot of walls around myself for a very long time. I didn't allow people to really get to know me, or really to to even be closer to me. And for some reasons, I allow myself to open up to my partner, like my current partner. And I'm very proud of myself because I feel like I kind of created like a prison for myself, a long time ago, that I didn't allow people to really get, closer to me. I was scared, I was afraid because I was been hurt before. That's why.
There is a saying, where is a fear, there is no love. Where is love, there is no fear.
Exactly, and that's where we are right now. I don't know if we're, call us stupid or just, brave. We really have no fear. We're very, open-minded. We're happy for what we do. We love sharing what we do with people around us, and, seeing people that also we together impacted other people's lives, and we're helping them, or we inspire them, or, it's an amazing feeling.
Waldemar, you came from Poland. You were raised up in Catholic family. I guess it wasn't easy to introduce the message to your parents that you are gay and they have bisexual, and you have a twin and he's gay, and you went through all those fears. Every time you were fighting for love and you were overcoming those fears to be accepted, appreciated as you are. After you went to France, and you understood that, oh, this is a world of sexuality and love, and you can be whatever. And after you came to America, country of freedom. So you made a big road of self-journey. But now, could you help with one final message to our followers who are watching you, and maybe they live in a little village, and maybe they're very scared to share with their parents that I'm gay or I'm lesbian, or they don't know how to identify themselves and they are full of fear of love or acceptance themselves as they are. Would you be so kind to say something inspiring from your experience to people who are trying to be connected to themselves from point of view of their sexuality and their full acceptance of their personality?
I even forgot that there's someone watching us, but
it means I'm not that bad host.
You're an amazing host,
Thank
and
you.
I feel very comfortable here. So thank you for that. But in my early 20s, when I traveled, and there are some times where I look up in the sky, and I always felt home, no matter where I was. No matter if I felt super safe or not safe, or if I always felt that no matter where you are, being authentic yourself, you will be okay. So I believe that it doesn't really matter, what your sexuality is. I believe like being your true self and being open and really, believing and having the strength to not giving up, or, doesn't really, it helps you to experience life to the fullest.
Thank you so much. On this high note, we'll finalize our show and this beautiful interview. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your open mind and beautiful mind, and for your love journey. I just wish you all the best, and to your partner as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Waldemar.
having me.
And today we have a beautiful, handsome guest, Waldemar Sirko, with very intriguing life experience, and everybody who's interested in challenging conversations about self-love and relationship, please follow us and join our community and leave us notes, because we want to know what is interesting for you and cover those intriguing topics. Iryna Wood, always with love. Learn to love yourself.